Chapter 14. On Sunday morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee and breakfast. I put on my flip-flops and headed to the kitchen, where Mom whipped eggs in a bowl while a pan of what looked like chorizo sizzled on the stove. "Good morning, Dormelino," Mom said. "Want some coffee?" Have I ever said no to coffee? True, Mom said. I hope this chorizo isn't too spicy. She said the word chorizo like it was something she still couldn't wrap her brain around. I tried to buy some from Mrs. Hidalgo at Calica, but they were all out. Who knew there would be a demand for soy chorizo? She turned off the burner. Anyway, she recommended a Mexican place that makes it, so this is as authentic as fake chorizo can be. And it's probably going to burn my tongue off, right? Probably, Mom said, handing me a couple of mugs. I'll get you a glass of milk too. Thanks, I said. As I watched Mom dish eggs and chorizo into 2 plates, I thought about the family tree assignment for Spanish class. It was looming over me, due tomorrow. Dad always say you have to know when to ask for help, and as much as I dreaded asking Mom, I knew I couldn't do it alone. "Mom, can you help me with this family tree assignment?" "Of course," she said a little too eagerly. She placed a plate in front of me and sat down. "When should we work on it?" "How about now?" I asked. "It's due tomorrow, so I don't have much of a choice." "Don't sound too excited about it, Malu," Mom said, digging into her breakfast. I went into my room and grabbed my Spanish notebook and a pen. "I needed at least 2 generations, not counting me," I said. "That's it?" Mom asked, sounding disappointed. "Let's see," I said. "I need full names and places and dates of birth and death." Mom held a bottle of hot sauce over her plate, and I watched as she tapped little orange drops onto her eggs. "Okay, well, your Abuelo, Refugio Morales, was born in Morales in the state of Cajelo in 1936 and died in Anaheim, California in 2010. "Slow down," I said. "How do you spell that?" Mom spelled Cojalo and then continued. "Why did he leave Mexico?" It wasn't part of my assignment, but I was still curious. "He came to the U.S. as part of the Basaro program," Mom said. "Do you know what that is?" I shook my head. During World War II, when many American men had either gone to war or were working in industries that produced equipment for the war, there was a shortage of farm laborers, Mom said. The U.S. government made arrangements with Mexico to bring in laborers to work on American farms. The program continued for a little while after the war ended. That's when your Abuelo came. It was supposed to be temporary, but he never left. "What kind of work did he do?" "Mostly picked crops," Mom said. "Sugar beets, figs, strawberries." "Like for the supermarkets?" I asked. Mom nodded. "Wow, real people pick that stuff?" "Well, who do you think does all that work?" "Machines?" I shrugged. To be honest, I never thought about it all. "Most people probably don't think about it," Mom said, as if reading my mind, "but it's hard work." I remember that Abuelo used to give me those gummy candies that looked like orange slices, and I would suck all the sugar off before eating them, I said. "You remember that?" she asked. "You were so little." And we would sit on that plastic-covered couch and watch the show about the kid who lived inside a barrel. You're thinking of El Chavo del Ocho. Mom smiled, remembering. Your abuelo loved to watch comedies. He laughed at a lot for someone who had a hard life. What about Abuela? I asked. Your abuela, Ariela Gonzalez de Morales, was born in Agua Petra in the state of Sonora in 1948, Mom said. When did she come to the U.S.? She left Mexico and her family when she was 16, Mom said. What do you mean she left her family? I asked. She came alone, Mom said. Alone? But isn't that dangerous? Mom shrugged like it was no big deal. When she was 16, I asked, Mom, that's like 4 years older than me. How did she do it alone? A lot of people come into this country alone, Malu, not knowing the language, Mom said. It's not an uncommon story. There might be kids in your school whose families came here under similar circumstances. This was even more mind-boggling than the thought of my abuelo hand-picking the strawberries I saw in the supermarket. I tried to imagine coming to Chicago alone. It felt scary, way scarier than how it felt coming here with Mom. Your grandparents worked really hard to build a life in this country, Mom said, but they were also very proud of where they came from. I chewed on my pen and thought about my grandparents. Abuelo died when I was little, but before that, when we still lived in Florida, I spent more time with them. Once Mom started her PhD program, we saw them less often. And after Abuelo died, Abuela moved to California, where the rest of Mom's family lived. Being so far away and Mom's busy schedule made it harder for us to visit. Still, Mom called Abuela every weekend and would force me to grab the phone and say hello. I would hear Mom tell my Abuela to speak to me in Spanish, but she never did. That's why it's important to me that you learn about where you come from, Mom said. I know where I come from, Mom, I said, snapping back into the present. She looked at me and gave me a sad smile. There are things you're missing out on that are important, she said. Like what? You should be proud to speak Spanish, not embarrassed about it. I'm not embarrassed, I said, but like Mom, I didn't really believe that either. I guess I didn't really know anyone to blame but myself. Mom said, gee, sorry to be so disappointing. That's not what I meant, Malu, she said. You're not disappointing. Okay, I said. Is that why you're always talking about how I dress and how I hate speaking Spanish? Whoa, slow down. Admit it, Mom, I said. I'm just your weird, unladylike, sloppy Spanish-speaking, half Mexican child. Where is all this coming from, Mom asked. You want me to be like you and to be interested in stuff you're interested in, I said. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I can't help it, but I care about animals and I don't want to eat them. And it's not my fault. I don't like hot sauce or cilantro. Mom burst out laughing. Malu, do you think I care that you don't like cilantro or that you're a vegetarian? Of course, I said, because real Mexicans love cilantro and hot sauce on everything, especially me. I don't expect you to be like me, Mom said. I just want you to be proud of who you are and everything you are. I am proud of who I am, I said. It's you who seems to have problems. You're just like Selena. Selena, the Tahago singer? Mom asked, a puzzled look on her face. What does she have to do with this? Whoa, I asked. Who? I asked. Never mind. I don't understand. You never do. I wish I was with Dad. I grabbed my notebook and left the kitchen. I almost expected Mom to follow me with more questions, or at least fill me in on this Selena singer, but she didn't. So these are her zines. La mano. Bacaro, the word for brazo arm in Spanish. The Mexican farm laborer supply program was known as the Bacaro program. Did you know who picked the strawberries you eat? About 4.6 million people came from Mexico to work in agriculture. Most of them were in California. And this is another zine. Started in 1942, Bacaro experienced abuse, prejudice, unfair work conditions, exposure to pesticides, including being fumigated, being cheated out of pay and benefits. 1964. So this is how it started in 1942 and it ended in 1964. Bacaros, like my Abuelo, worked with their arms, but also with shovel, hoe back, legs, baskets, and their hands. Manos, Abuelo tools. I worked with my hands too, not in a hard way like Abuelo, but we both create. My tools were scissors, glue stick, paper, markers, tape, stacks of old magazines. Calluses, paper cuts, dirt under nails, dry glue, ink stains, remember, hands. So these are all of her zines that she's trying to express herself. Abuela and I use our hands to do work. Pull, sew, draw, plant, cut, paste, reap, fold, make, tear, transform. So she's trying to compare her zines to what Abuela would do when he would pick the different vegetables and fruit. Magic. And so she's saying that her zines transform and now it's magic. That's the end of chapter 14.